Come north with us, over the Forth, to Fife, the Kingdom of Fife. Scotland has a name for skills, from soldiering to shipbuilding, from weaving to engineering. Nairns welcome you to Fife, and in particular to their works in Kirkcaldy. Let us draw aside the tartan curtain and present from the vantage point of the boardroom, where a century of Nairns have governed the destiny of the company, the story of a tradition, where any floor, anywhere, can be covered with the right material at the right price. The story starts with a ship. In its holds are thousands of gallons of linseed oil, a most important constituent of linoleum. The oil is extracted from the seeds of flax, and it's vitally important that the quality is maintained exactly. Samples of every shipment are sent to the laboratory where they are monitored. The oil in huge quantities arrives from South America, the United States, Canada and India, and every shipment of oil is checked in this way. Linoleum is made from a cement based on oxidized linseed oil. This is made by exposing raw linseed oil to hot air by flooding cotton scrim with the oil. This takes place in a huge building of great height, each of these grids being a separate scrim suspended vertically. After 200 floodings, the oil, now an amber gel, has built up to a thickness of 2 inches. A very large tonnage of this gel, now a tough plastic substance, is produced in 3-month cycles. This is the traditional way of producing oil gel. The gel is now shredded to prepare it for the next step, which is the making of the cement. At the same time, this shed oil is blended with a cake oil gel produced by a different technique in which the oxidation is much more rapid. The ultimate purpose of the batch dictates the admixture at this stage. The raw materials, after further conditioning, are fed by gravity to a great heated pan, where the oxidized oil mix is fluxed with molten rosin. The gums or rosins are added and mixing is continued until the batch has gelled. The proportion of rosin varies depending upon the type of cement being produced. The charge is finally tipped out into specially prepared trays and allowed to mature for several weeks before it is used. This is the basis of all linoleum. So great has been the speed of technological advance within this modern industry that a one-process method of making high-quality cement has been evolved to increase output and yet at the same time to reduce dramatically the production time. Under electronic control, a charge of linseed oil and rosin, together with other constituents, is treated under high temperature until the mixture becomes cement. It's then discharged and it has the typical appearance, handle and texture of the traditional material. This rich-colored, spongy mass can be used directly for all types of linoleum. Linseed oil and a blend of rosins have by Nairn alchemy been transformed into cement, and here it is, looking like prime Scotch beef. Let us now see, in small scale, the production of a trial batch of linoleum. A series of materials in precisely measured amounts will be added to the spongy cement. These materials are cork, wood flour, mineral fillers and pure colour pigments. After weighing, they'll be passed through the rolls of a miniature calendar. The cement is calendared first, the additional materials being added to it once it has spread round the rolls. Almost immediately, raw linoleum will emerge. The sample will be subjected to an intricate series of laboratory tests to control colour, quality and texture in full-scale production. Linoleum is a hard-surfaced, pliable floor covering made by calendering a plastic mass in a smooth sheet onto jute canvas. So, let us visit Nairn's canvas works. This jute comes in from Pakistan via Dundee. The warp threads now pass through a bacteriostatic dressing, and then they're dried over hot rolls before being wound onto the weaver's beam, which soon will go to the weaving sheds with hundreds more to feed the high-speed looms. In various widths, thousands of yards of hessian are produced each week. After weaving, the hessian is inspected and passed through a cropping machine, where any proud fibres are neatly shaved. At the same time, every inch of the canvas is examined by experienced operators. The ends of the hessian rolls also receive a once-over lightly, fluff and minute fibres being singed off by a hot gas flame. Hour by hour, finished rolls of canvas travel up the cobbled hill from St. Mary's Canvas Works to the linoleum making plant. The canvas is threaded into the machine and, travelling at high speed, it's coated with a thin layer of linoleum, a pre-coating to which will be bonded the actual surface material. In line with practice throughout the works, every inch is scanned. The linoleum calendars are huge. Great heated rolls are making the linoleum surface material, which is conveyed past the girls. A popular marbled linoleum is being produced. The raw material in crumb form and in 3 different shades of green is calendared to produce a material with markings like this. To produce marbled inlay, the unsupported linoleum in its streak markings, in sheets 6 feet long and 6 feet wide, are superimposed one above another and their direction of marking changed. As linoleum is a thermoplastic material, the variations of heat and pressure metered out by the rolls change the pattern of the markings, producing the marbled effect. An extremely popular and useful pattern, it blends in with almost any decorative scheme. Passing from the heated rolls, the linoleum meets its hessian base with its still tacky coating. Gently guided down, it meets for all time the high-grade canvas, long years of life starting from here. Under inspection, the warm and pliable material flows continuously to its next stage, curing. And here the word inlay rarely comes into its own. Girls with meticulous skill build patterns by hand. They use die-cut shapes made from a special mix of linoleum and assemble them onto pattern guides on the conveyor. This conveyor transfers these geometrical patterns to a meeting with a prepared hessian base. The combined patterns and pre-coated canvas travel on through a large rotary press. Here, under heat and pressure, the inlaid pattern is bonded to its base. In great lengths it travels up to the roof, slowly cooling, before it passes the experienced eyes of the inspector back at floor level. Zinc stencils are called for in the production of moulded inlay, another interesting variation. Here, various elements of the pattern, one for each colour, are brushed through slots to the canvas base, which then pass it on to the next station for a new colour. The register of the colour is perfectly controlled. The usual factors of time, temperature and pressure are applied in a press at the end of the line. As the inlaid linoleum returns to deck level, it is inspected before joining the day's production in the vast curing stoves. But canvas is not the only supporting player in this story. Paper felt has a most important part to play in the Nairn production plan. After leaving their paper factory, the material is impregnated with bitumen in a fully automatic plant. Now impregnated and coated, the paper felt is wound onto rolls in readiness for the next step. In this case, it's the production of printed felt base. After another coating, it's supported in great loops in giant stoves for conditioning. Felt base Congolium is printed by blocks like these. From the squared paper of the designer, the pattern is transferred to wooden blocks. Brass segments are inserted and levelled off. Continuity of skill is regarded highly here in Kirkcaldy, the various apprentice schemes being well supported. Each colour has its own block, so precision of a high order is called for to achieve and maintain perfect register. A rough pull has shown the need for a small adjustment, and soon the block will be ready for mounting in the printing machine. Here the coated felt, which we last saw in the stoves, has now matured and it's ready for printing. The blocks are mounted, the colour hoppers charged with their brilliant contents, and in an oscillating rhythmic progression, a profusion of colour is printed onto the felt base. New developments in flooring technology have brought vinyl into the picture. Vinyl is a modern plastic material with properties which are particularly suitable for use in floor covering. The raw materials are blended and gravity-fed to the calendars at floor level. Here the vinyl is produced as a smooth plastic carpet. Just as in linoleum marbling, the direction of the markings are changed at regular intervals. The vinyl sheets are overlaid and then recalendared, the sheets fusing together to produce the marble sheet. It's very hot at this stage, so it passes through a water bath. Vinyl is usually sold in tile form, but but variations are available in sheet form 2 yards wide. Next, the cooled vinyl is die-cut into tiles and conveyed past a team of inspecting girls who look for any irregularities. Tiles pass on through an automatic counting station to the packaging zone. Whenever a new material emerges, Nairn pay it the compliment of taking it seriously. After intensive research and development effort, they do not hesitate to invest in high-grade tooling to make a success not only of its production, but of its packaging and scientific quality control. Scientific control of quality means a great number of tests to be devised and carried out to assess and confirm the quality of every batch of material produced. In a two-way check, the tensile strength of felt base is measured here. Although the edge of a new razor blade looks and feels smooth, under the microscope its jaggedness is revealed. In the same way, smooth to the touch linoleum is checked for tolerance by this precision measuring device. Its display head would show a greatly enlarged picture of any micron-sized irregularities. Nairn was the first firm in Britain to produce lino tiles, now so familiar in shops all over the country. Exact 9 or 12-inch squares of various thicknesses and markings are produced by a fast-moving die-cutting machine. Lino tiles give the architect a convenient and flexible method of achieving fine decorative effects, as well as helping to keep his costs down. And the do-it-yourself householder can tackle ambitious floor schemes that in the past would have been completely beyond his reach. Under the same roof is organized the dispatch of high-quality linoleum to overseas distributors, customers and subsidiaries. Wrapped and stitched into hessian, it goes into the warehouse before dispatch. From this and other strategically located warehouses, a rapid service to customers is maintained. A trio of trucks leave a warehouse on their way to a large project in the south. An equally important part of the manufacture of floor coverings is research into the effects of colour and design. In this field, the work of the colour consultant and his influence on design and production grows increasingly important with every passing year.
Yes, it's not so many years ago that the choice of colours for floor finishes was based entirely on personal choice, regardless of function. But recent research into the properties of pattern and colour and their effects upon the occupants of the building has produced an entirely new approach. And now, linoleum and vinyl floor colourings are related to British Standard 2660, Colours for Building and Decorative Paints, which enables the various materials making up an interior to be related in colour, although they are produced by different manufacturing processes. Now, the floor of a room is the first large surface area that reflects both daylight and artificial light, and therefore the colour of the floor finish often determines the overall colour appearance of the space. Now take red. This will produce an apparently overall warm environment, and therefore is most applicable to north and east-facing rooms, whereas a blue floor would tend to produce a cool environment, more suitable for rooms facing south or west. In spaces where no daylight is available, or that are occupied during the hours of darkness, consideration must be given to the effects of tungsten and fluorescent lighting on colour appearance. Now, tungsten lighting will tend to increase the apparent intensity of the warmer colours, but not the cooler colours, whereas fluorescent light will weaken the warmer colours and increase the apparent intensity of the cooler colours. Also, the lightness or darkness of a floor will determine the overall quantity of illumination in a space. However, there are practical limits to this, as very dark or very light plain colours will show footmarks easily. This is because their reflectivity to light is very different from that of dust or mud, and so provide a contrasting background. Whereas colours in the middle range of reflectivity, similar to that of dust or mud, will camouflage these surface markings. Sometimes it is necessary to use very light colours in order to obtain the desired level of illumination. In this case, the floor finish has to be patterned or marbled, and so disguise the surface markings as much as possible, if it is to retain a good appearance for long periods. This problem of camouflage applies equally to the very dark colours. These are just a few of the characteristics of colour that have to be taken into account in the design of colour ranges for floor finishes. There are many others, such as apparent hardness and softness. A room could be made to appear wider or longer, larger or smaller, simply by the use of different floor colours and pattern. And it must be remembered, as floor finishes are installed to last a considerable time, they should not be of too strong a colour, and so restrict the choice of the less permanent colours used on the other surfaces of the interior. This functional approach to colour does not, however, restrict the aesthetic choice of hue, but acts as a necessary guide to the selection of colours from a particular colour range.
At Aspro Nicholas, who are at Slough, many of the points which the colour consultant has just made have been observed in the design and carrying out of the linoleum floor of the staff coffee lounge. Many people cross this decorative floor in regular traffic patterns. It's doing good service, despite the ravages of the floor-killing heels of today's fashion. The marbling effect minimises local blemishes on this resilient material with a fast recovery rate. Aspro for human headaches, Nairns to cure flooring headaches. Nairns are proud of installations all over Britain. But now let's fly to the continent, to France, to look for that familiar name on French floors. Let's travel on from Paris, where there's a Nairn factory, to Normandy, to the attractive town of Saint-Lô. At the Memorial Hospital, Nairn's linoleum in the cool corridors yields no place for bacteria to linger on its smooth, polished surfaces. In the wards too, resilient, quiet and comfortable, that's linoleum at work. Just across the peninsula is Caen, and in the village of La Guéranière is this imposing block of flats, typical of the shape of things to come. Nairn flooring, of course. This note of modernity is struck as Bridget washes over her Nairn floor with a mild liquid detergent before polishing. Ideal treatment for Nairn linoleum. After her bath, she leaves a harmless trail of wet footprints over her vinyl-tiled bathroom floor. Whether vinyl or linoleum, Nairn have a complete colour spectrum available. Further afield now to Australia, where a Nairn factory serves the needs of the Antipodes. Installations all over Australia have fine floors of Nairn material. Nairn's products are equally important in New Zealand. Most of the important buildings in Wellington and other cities use Nairn's products. With many installations to their credit, the Colonial Mutual Life Building, Shell House, Victoria University College, Department of Science, and the new government buildings are typical of many. Now, crossing oceans in a wink, we'll soon steam up the broad St. Lawrence to Montreal, Canada. In this busy city, modern shapes loft up from mellowed old. A Canadian associate of Nairn covered the floors of the offices of the Bank of Montreal, just one of many installations in the New World. The range of possible floor treatments is almost unlimited. In addition to rectangular tiles, ovals, triangles and hexagons are freely available. So designers of floors need never be trammelled by repetitive rectangles. Let's follow the red arrow back to the homeland, to Scotland and this view from Edinburgh Castle, where soldiers dance and pipers play. The story of Michael Nairn is part of a larger story, that of Scotland and her tradition of exporting craftsmanship and quality to the world, against a setting of beauty which for centuries has inspired the patriots, the painters, the poets, and the craftsmen of Scotland. Some of this fair heritage endures in the floor coverings which carry the name of Nairn everywhere. An old name carried proudly by a working board for over 100 years of honest endeavour in a highly competitive field.